afternoon, gangsters and ballers. Gav Mack and Alex Osborn here with the review of the week 32 in the Premier League. Alex, dude, how are you getting on, pal?
Very well, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm married, making dreams work. You know what it's like. And also, Arsenal won yesterday, so that means we're going to win the league next year, right?
Well, 3 wins on the bounce. We were in pretty decent form. If you look at the whole of this year as a whole, rather than just since lockdown, then we've actually been all right this year. And I think it looked a bit doom and gloom, and everyone was piling in, weren't they? When we'd lost those couple of games, and then you had the announcement of the David Luiz contract, Cedric Suarez contract, and Pablo Mari signing permanently, and people going, "What the hell is going on at Arsenal?" But again, I feel like we're in a fairly decent position. And I will say this: I think I've mentioned a couple of times on the chats, right? We'll get into it when we'll get into it now. I actually think with the personnel that we have available to us, 3-4-3 is the best way to go. It gets the best out of our forwards, and it also allows Tierney and Saka to be sort of like in their sort of like really good positions for them, and they look really dangerous and threatening down that left-hand side.
Really enjoying the fact that Saka's on a new contract, buzzing off that. Really am. I thought it was going to be one of those typical cases of Arsenal waiting for the player to get in their last year of their contract, and then next thing you know, off they pop. 2 goals from Aubameyang as well, because he's had a bit of a drought, hasn't he? He's now got his 50th and 51st now Premier League goal for Arsenal. Do you reckon Arsenal will keep hold of him?
I don't know the answer to that one.
Is there any point of keeping hold of him?
Pardon?
Is there any point of keeping hold of him?
It all depends on if a big the thing is, right, because he's going. Is he also going into his last year of his contract?
Yeah, next year.
When the next season starts, isn't he? I think it's his last season, right? So I don't think, because he seems to be a very naturally fit kind of player, doesn't he? He doesn't miss many games at all through injury. I think the only games he's missed for Arsenal in the league has actually been through suspension, or if he's been rested. So I don't think that he'll have a physical decline, like, you know, when you can get some players who are based on their who have their game based on pace, quickness. When they get to a certain age, that just kind of falls off a cliff, doesn't it? And they kind of decline. But Aubameyang could be kind of like Ronaldo, in the sense that Ronaldo now is starting. You can start to see it in his physicality. It's starting to go down now when he's in a perfect league for him. But I think Aubameyang still probably has 2 or 3 years left at the kind of level that he is at now, because of the sort of athlete that he is. He may not be. He might lose like a smidgen of pace, but it's not going to be something that really affects him, because he's like a quick fox in a box, isn't he? He's not somebody who's going to take on 5 players and smack it in from the top, smack it into the top corner from 25 yards. He's not that type of striker. He's a striker who's in and around the 18-yard box. He's deadly, and his movement and his positioning gets him his goals, which is what happened yesterday. Certainly with the second one, and then obviously the first one, closing down Tim Krul. And people were going, "Oh, Arsenal relying on keeper errors to make the mistakes." But the thing that you should look at is they're actually hounding down the keeper to make those mistakes. And it's obviously clear that Arteta wants them to press high, harry up the pitch as far as possible. And it's borne fruit in the last couple of games, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. No, I agree. Someone who really, really wound me up yesterday was West Ham. You know, I'm happy for them getting the result, I say, because it helps their chances of staying up. But to be honest, I want West Ham to go down. It's not a secret that I want West Ham to go down either. and they ruined my acca. Absolutely ruined my acca. That was money in the bank. and they screwed it up. So I'm not very happy with West Ham. 3-2 they beat Chelsea.
Bet responsibly.
Bet responsibly, kids. Yeah. 3-2 they won yesterday. Goals from Souček, Antonio Yarmolenko right at the end. Willian scored a brace, one from the spot, and a free kick. I feel sorry for West Ham in a way because their first goal was ruled out for offside, and I've just been watching a little bit of Dermot O'Leary. I always want to call him Dermot O'Leary, Dermot Gallagher on Sky Sports, and I think he's in agreement with every single person on the planet that, excuse my French, but it's a bullshit call that goal was ruled out for offside. But again, the laws of the game state that is exactly what they are. Referees don't like it. The players don't like it. The fans don't like it. The comms don't like it. No one likes that rule, but it's like that not rule, that law, but it is offside that.
Yeah, and this is where people will go, "Oh, VAR is ruining game," but this is not a VAR issue.
No, it's got nothing to do with VAR.
The guys who are running VAR are only applying the laws of the game to that circumstance. And as I say, the laws of the game, the words say that is it a part of your body that can be considered a goal scoring, that you can be used to score a goal. If it is offside, it is offside, and they've applied the letter of the law, and wrongly or rightly, the goal has been disallowed. Yet I think it's absolutely rubbish, which it means with the introduction of VAR, it means that the law needs to be reworded. It needs to be sorted out for situations such as that, because as we all know, he was on the floor. He's not trying to gain an advantage. He's just he's from the previous action, he's gone in for a header or a ball and he's fallen on the floor. And he's not there to try and gain an advantage at all whatsoever. And that is what the offside law is, isn't it? It's to stop teams gaining an advantage, an unfair advantage.
Yeah, but like Souček did make up for it in the end, which I'm happy about. But going back to that offside decision, I don't feel like he's in the eye line. I know he's on the floor.
Yeah, it was straight up pointing at him.
Well, when Antonio was on the floor, I don't think that I'm not happy about it.
What I will say though is Chelsea should really be looking at themselves, because it was 2 corners in a row that they conceded. Well, obviously one didn't count, but they conceded 2 goals on back-to-back corners, didn't they? And it was pretty much similar situations: a delivery into the sort of like the far post area. And they weren't able to deal with either of them. So Chelsea didn't heed the warning from the first one, and they conceded, and the goal stood for the second one. So they have to kind of look at themselves there, and I'm sure they'll be analysing what went wrong in that situation. But yeah, that was something that Chelsea need to figure out there.
I think Chelsea went into that game with too much arrogance.
A bit complacent,
they walked into that and been like, well, it's only West Ham. They're bottom of the league. Chelsea smashed them. Spurs smashed them the other day. I know the scoreline doesn't suggest it, but Spurs were all over West Ham in that last game. It's like, well, we're better than Spurs, so we need to just go out there and do half the job and we'll get 3 points.
On the flip side, West Ham, we were speaking about the teams down in the relegation zone needing to pick up victories where they could. And this is one of those victories. This is a bonus victory.
It's a bonus win. 100%. Yeah, because they're not expecting to beat anyone around the top end of the table. What did you think of the penalty?
Got to try and remember now.
I thought it was a bit soft. I can
remember Willian taking it, but I can't. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to my memory what happened.
Yeah, it's just a little trip. It's like I just thought it was a little bit harsh. Good pen. Willian has now scored in every single month in the Premier League. The only player to do so.
What, from January to December?
From January to December, every single month of single month of the year, he's the only player ever to do it. That might be a little trivia question for the future.
That's a pretty good stat. I mean, that's a stat that you wouldn't normally have thought would exist, because obviously we don't play during the summer. But
no, exactly. But now you know.
He could. Is there anybody else who could certainly do that as well?
I'll have to do a bit of research on that one. I'm not quite sure, but I'll have to have a little
That'd
look
be
at
interesting.
that.
But can we just say though, Marcus Alonso got roasted by Gary Neville on the comms last night for the winning goal from West Ham, didn't he? He was saying about how he was out of position, and B, when West Ham broke for the third goal, he was not interested at all in running back trying to help out Rudiger. And Rudiger, that was poor defending. Just got stood up.
No, that's harsh, mate. It's like
Yarmolenko onto his weak foot. He allowed him to come inside, and it was a good finish. But he could have done a little bit better there for me.
It's a great finish. I want to talk about Antonio because Antonio frustrates me a lot. Mikel Antonio, however you want to say his name, I don't know. Say his first name, Mikel. But Antonio, he frustrates me a lot because yesterday he was a world beater. And we don't see these performances often enough. It's performances like this which got him a call up for the England side initially anyway. But why is he not able to put these type of performances in all the time? Is it because he's getting played out of position a lot, or he hasn't got a set position? Maybe that's why it's not working for him.
Your guess is as good as mine, but that's probably why he's playing for West Ham and not playing for a top 6 club, because he's not able to do it on a consistent basis.
Do you think he should have been given a penalty just before he scored the goal to make it 2-1?
Sorry, say that again.
Just before he made it 2-1, like he was in the same mood. Do you reckon he should have been given a penalty for that anyway? Because I thought that was more so than the one that Chelsea was.
It was.
I just felt like he was sort of like hauled down to the ground.
I did think it could have been given as a penalty, but the referee didn't think so, and then obviously he played advantage as well. And yeah, it certainly turned out to being a good play by the referee there, and Antonio got himself back up. And again, suspect defending from Chelsea, right? Allowing West Ham to recycle the ball and then bringing the cross from the right from West Ham's right there left. And again, none of the defenders sort of covering the ball coming across the 6-yard box. Again, I'll just point out Chelsea in midfield with Kovacevic and Jorginho. I don't think Jorginho didn't play last night. Kante was a bit poor last night, but Kovacevic getting overrun.
Stop mugging off Kovacevic, yeah? Because end of the day, stop mugging him off. Honestly, no. Stop mugging him off. He's a good player, and the thing is, yeah,
doesn't offer anything.
Yeah, but where was Kante yesterday? Kante's all this world class player. But you're not mugging Kante off.
Hang on, yeah, but Kante's shown that he's a world class player. Kovacevic hasn't.
Kovacevic is a bloody good midfielder. That's what he is. That's exactly what he is. We had this discussion the other day anyway. Not happy about you. Not happy about you, man. But Antonio, yeah, I thought it was brilliant yesterday. And Yarmolenko's goal, he took it really well. Really, really well. Let's, where are we on yesterday's games? Bournemouth. Got absolutely slapped apart by Newcastle. 4-1. The score was. It was dismal from Bournemouth, and this is after.
I didn't see any of the game. If I understand, it was St. Maximin. It was a St. Maximin show.
It was, and it is constantly, because he won't be there for much longer. He's come over to England. He started off well, and now it's like, hold on a minute, you're actually pretty good, and you can. Because how often do you see a player in their first year come over to the Premier League and just be absolute tosh, and are not able to get on with it?
Do you know what it's kind of like? Maybe because he hasn't been quite as productive in terms of goals, but it's very similar to when Dimitri Payet came over and played and signed for West Ham for that one season, and he was incredible for that one season. And it was like, well, hang on, are West Ham going to be able to keep a hold of him? And then the summer passed, he didn't get a move to a bigger club. I think because the problem with Payet was the fact he was already like late 20s when he came over to West Ham, didn't he? And sort of big clubs were like, well, we don't really want to spend that much money on him because A, of his age, and B, how much it would cost to get him, and it doesn't really seem like a good value for money. And then he had that really good, because he also had that I think maybe it was a case of he had that year in the Prem, then he had the Euros afterwards where he did all right for France and that.
Yes,
and
he did. 2016, wasn't it? Yeah.
Stayed at West Ham because no bids came in, and then obviously he was like sulking because that happened. And then did he sign for Marseille? He went back to Marseille, didn't he?
Yeah.
And we haven't really heard from him since. So
Saint-Maximin is a player who has the opportunity to be world class. Yeah, exactly.
He's young,
How old is Saint-Maximin?
I'd say he's early 20s, isn't he?
Why don't we have a butchers? Alan Saint-Maximin is 23 years old.
There you go. Yeah.
So he's got plenty time, plenty time. He'll be fine, mate. I'm a big fan of him, and it was his show yesterday. Dwight Gale bagged, Sean Longstaff scored, Almiron and Lazaro. Lazaro's finish was pretty tidy as well.
Almiron's finish was quite. I have seen that actually. Because he finished with his right peg, isn't he? I think. I think left-footed. Is he left-footed?
He is left-footed. Yeah.
But yeah, he's hit that with his right foot quite nicely, and it's gone into the top bin. So what I will say now, we were talking about Bournemouth because this was going to be the game if Bournemouth wanted to get out.
Bournemouth are screwed.
Getting out of trouble. This was the game they had to win because their next 4 games are. I think their next 4 games are all clubs in the top 6, aren't they?
Let's have a look at Bournemouth's fixtures.
I'm pretty certain they've got Wolves, Man United, Chelsea. And is it Spurs, I think, potentially? Or it might be Leicester.
Yeah, so on Saturday, 3 o'clock, they've got Man United away. Then on Thursday, they got Spurs at home. Yeah. Then on Sunday, the 12th of July, they have Leicester at home.
Yeah.
They're due to play Man City on the 15th, but then that'll be subject to change to the FA Cup. And then they've got Southampton, local derby, and then Everton, who are showing a little bit of form. So what I love about Eddie Howe...
Based on what's happened the last couple of weeks, are they going to win another game? Are they even going to get another point? This
is the thing. What I love about Eddie Howe is his optimism. Because before the game, he said, we've got 7 games and we are going to win all 7 games. It's Eddie. Like, look, Eddie. Everyone knows that when I do the show, I'll have a little tipple, and that's fine. I'll stick it in my Arsenal mug because I don't want to show any advertising to a particular beer brand. But today is Coors. Rather than Bud. But, I'll have a little tipple, I'll have a little chat, but I don't come out with things like that. That is 1, bold, and 2, hilarious. What is he thinking? I was going to bring the table up.
He's team confidence, isn't he? He's like, I believe in you. I believe we can go out and do it, guys. So come on, let's rally around and let's try and do it. But yeah, it's not looking good, especially when they've only won 7 games all season, and they're going to have to try and win 7. Well, at the time anyway, all remaining 7 games. So yeah, He's just trying to boost his team. He's trying to find.
But there's ways of boosting your team, and there's also ways of just feeding your team with crap that you're literally going to be like. Can you imagine sitting in the room, in the training room, and your gaffer turns around and says, "We're going to win all these 7 games," and obviously you want to be there to boost the confidence, but at the same time, you just use a bit of noggin and be like, "Hold on a minute. We've got City, we've got Leicester." They might pick up points against Leicester because Leicester is struggling at the moment. But
I mean, the other thing is we don't know what else we don't know what he's saying behind closed doors to them. He's obviously given sound bites to the press. I mean, some managers, and this is not just in football, but this is in other sports, American sports especially. Some managers and head coaches use the press to send a message to their players. So he might have been thinking that because he's tried other ways behind closed doors and it hasn't worked. He's just trying to find a way to give his team an edge to try and get them to get that extra 2 or 3% it requires to get a victory in the Premier League. But unfortunately, I just think, it's just not going to happen for him. Unfortunately, and look, probably
I feel for Bournemouth the most because they had some serious injuries at a time when they were playing against the teams that were in and around them and stuff. The games like West Ham are lucky. Well, they're not. They're lucky to pick up the result, not in terms of their performance. I think their performance warranted a victory yesterday. Because it was like smash and grab, just take what you can. They weren't really like under the cosh too much against Chelsea yesterday. I didn't feel that they were threatened too much by Chelsea. What it is for Bournemouth, they have had injury issues, and now that everyone's come back, we're expecting them to just hop back on and be okay. But this fixture list it's not easy. The Premier League doesn't put out easy games for anybody. It's the most competitive league. But, games like Newcastle, no disrespect to Newcastle, you've got to be out there and got to go out and beat teams like Newcastle. You've got to beat teams like, all the teams that are in the round you. So, like Watford's and like Burnley's. I know Burnley are having a good season, like Palace and like the Palace game. That was giant for them. I noticed their first game back after the break, but you've got to go out and beat Palace. You're not expected to go out and beat Leicester, Spurs, whoever. Do you know what I mean? So,
I think also what you've got to do though, you've got to look at their recruitment, and they've spent a lot of money on pretty average, maybe poor players as well over the last couple of years, which really is probably another major reason why they've not done that well. I mean, they spent what, 30 million? In fact, they spent 45 million on 3 players who have done nothing, like Lloyd Kelly, Philip Billing, and Dan Juma. What have they done? They've done nothing for them. I mean, that's 45 million pounds, which to a club like Bournemouth
is a lot of money. Yeah,
is a lot of money, and you look at other clubs who have spent less and they're doing so much better than them. For example, Dominic Solanke last season, they spent 20 million on him, 25 million on Jefferson Lerma.
Bad striker.
25 million. They got to spend.
Jordan Ibe a couple of years ago, they spent 15 million on him.
That is poor.
Yeah.
That's 100 million pounds on 6 players that have not performed for them.
And they weren't actually that great in the first place either.
Yeah, exactly.
They haven't got a steal anywhere apart from Billing. I like Billing. Billing's a boss.
Yeah, I know you've liked him, but he hasn't really done anything for him. I mean, their best signing was David Brooks, right?
I love
£10 million from Sheffield United. Problem is, he's been injured for all of this season up until obviously coming back, and
he will be in the Premier League next year, but Bournemouth won't be.
Yeah,
I thought they were going to survive. There is no chance that Bournemouth are going to be staying up now. They've got to be going. Right then, it's
bad injury record. Maybe a manager who's struggling to find a way to go. It's just a recipe, and unfortunately, Bournemouth. I think they're done.
Right then, it's time for What Are Everton?
What are Everton?
Everton wind me up because
before you go any further, that is the first time I've seen the little jingle.
Have you not seen it yet? Oh, yeah. What's Our Everton is if you're new to the show, you will. Basically, if you're new to the show, every week, Everton do something which make me question what they are and who they're about. And it hasn't changed this week. They've gone and beaten Leicester. Third place Leicester, 2-1. Richarlison and Sigurdsson from the spot, and then Iheanacho pulled one back for Leicester. So this question is, what are Everton? What are Everton thinking about doing in the future? Because since lockdown, they've looked all right, and they're on a bit of a mission at the moment.
The Carlo Ancelotti effect. I don't know. They've got some decent players. They've spent a lot of money. I would be cautiously optimistic as an Everton fan. I feel like I'm repeating myself with this, but with the summer window, whenever that is going to happen, coming up, players are going to want to join them. I mean, you see them being linked in the press with players like I know he's pretty much a grandfather in terms of football players' careers, but Thiago Silva is leaving on a free.
Thiago Silva didn't he play in the 1962 World Cup?
I think so.
He's that old, man. Honestly, I wouldn't want to get linked with him now.
But would he ever been linked with Everton if Carlo Ancelotti wasn't the manager?
Yes, yeah, very true. And also, he's got links with PSG. He's been at PSG before. You know, there's players that would be there that he's worked with.
It's a name.
Open doors.
It's a name, and Everton have got they've got quite a lot of financial backing as well, as we know from Moshiri and Usmanov, the guy who used to be on the Arsenal. He's on our board, but really we don't want him. Nobody look at him. Nobody recognise him when
which
he was on
is disgusting.
Arsenal,
honestly, how things could have been different if he was the man in charge.
Probably, but aside of that, he's now obviously financially back in Everton, and if they can make some shrewd signings and spend and get a couple of difference makers along with Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Andre Gomez is all right. He's a solid player. Probably, if I were Everton, I'd be looking at their their defence, and possibly even goalkeeper as areas to improve upon, upgrade. Which is why they're probably getting linked with Thiago Silva. So,
Everton's next game, they've got Spurs away on Monday. Then they've got Southampton at home, Wolves away, Villa at home, Sheffield United away, and Bournemouth at home on the last day of the season. I think Everton are going to be all right. Everton are currently 11th at the moment. They're 4 points off Arsenal, who are in 7th place, which will be enough for a European spot. And that's only a 2-point difference. They could go on a bit of a run and try and make some dreams work. Everton. It's
quite tight in that where Arsenal are in 7th to about 12th, 13th, isn't it? It's only about
down to 14th. You got Southampton in 14th. They're on 40 points, so
there you go.
It's clear that they're safe.
That's
6 points between
7th and 14th, isn't it?
Yeah, and then there's 6 points between Arsenal in 7th and Wolves in 6th. And then between
two play this weekend,
they are indeed. And then between Wolves and Leicester in 3rd place, there is only 3 points between them. Now, Leicester have had a torrid time. What is going on with Leicester? Why can't they pick up wins?
We said it. We said it in the last show, didn't we? Their game plan is built around Jamie Vardy, and when Jamie Vardy's not scoring goals, they're struggling. And we also sort of hypothesised maybe that Brendan Rodgers is a great manager when everything is going well and your game plan is still yet to be found out, and your players are on form and you're racking up the victories. He's a great manager then, but when it goes a little bit awry, when there's a little bit of adversity is the word I was looking for, he doesn't appear as if he knows how to turn it around. Which kind of maybe suggests that he's not as good as what people seem to make him out to be.
Yeah, and their running isn't that great either. They've got a dogged Palace this weekend. They should pick up a win against Palace, and then
they need to. If they've got aspirations of Champions League, they have to win that game. They have to win that game, and then the weekend after they've got Bournemouth away. The other 4 games are tough for Leicester. They've got Arsenal away in the week. They have then Sheffield United around the 15th. That's to be decided the kickoff time, but that's Wednesday the 15th. Then on the 18th of July, they've got Spurs away, and then they've got Man United at home on the last day of the season. Now, can you imagine the way that Manchester United are playing at the moment? I'm going to come on to Man United in a couple of seconds. The way that Chelsea have been, yes, they lost yesterday, but they're still well within the mix. Wolves, the way that they've been doing it, these last couple of positions are up for grabs, and there's every chance that Leicester could drop out of the top 4 and the top 5, bearing in mind that 5th place could be a Champions League spot. Yeah, they've they've fallen off a cliff basically, and they need to turn it around in a hurry. But they haven't got an easy fixture list at all. So yeah, it's watch this space with Leicester. But I've got a feeling that they're probably going to finish 6th. I don't know. I mean, my football
It'd be such a shame for him.
Lockdown started has been awful. My record
it's been shocking. I think all of ours have. But I did say it was going to be a comfortable win for Arsenal the other day, didn't I? So I think I might be on on the move. We've got to talk about Man United because we watched that together, didn't we? Via video link. And mate, Man United are so nice on the eye at the moment. I genuinely love watching Manchester United play football at the moment. They've been absolutely brilliant. And just the connection between Pogba and Bruno Fernandes, it's sumptuous, mate. Absolutely sumptuous.
It is. Again, they've got their midfield right now with Matic, Pogba and Bruno. They've got it sorted. Matic and Pogba playing slightly deeper. Obviously, Matic is your breaking up play, your big physical presence. I mean, Pogba, he's a cultured midfielder, but he's also quite a big physical presence because of his because look at the size of him. And then Bruno's your what do you want to call it? He's your attacking output demon, whatever you want to call it. Offers a goal threat, assists. Gets themselves in good positions. He'll progress the play. He will speed up the game when it needs to be sped up in that final third. And Pogba is there being able to find him, break the lines with his passing, get it out his feet. He's always looking for Bruno as his first option. It's like, right, can I get him to him straight away? If not, how am I going to be able to get it to him? And because of that, because of the speed that they're playing through within their midfield, whereas before they were struggling because they didn't have Bruno, they didn't have Pogba, and because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't really, I don't know if he still knows how to tactically set up his team to be able to unlock their front three, because they've got a lot of pace up front, haven't they? Rashford's quick, Martial's quick. They're both pretty strong. Dan James, when he plays, he's quick. Maybe he's not as technically good as them, but
yeah, I think Dan James needs to beef up a little bit. He's a bit feeble, but he's someone who's great to bring off the bench when you've got 15, 20 minutes left against a tired fullback.
Yeah, and they have to, and the other team are having to push. It's kind of like the Theo Walcott situation there with Dan James. But Mason Greenwood now, he's
baller, mate.
I don't know if he's as quick as the others, but his finishing is lethal. Either foot, left foot, right foot. I think at the moment, out of all the young strikers coming through at all clubs, Mason Greenwood is the best one out of the lot. And it's not that close, to be honest with you. But the problem with that, before they didn't have Pogba and Bruno, and they were struggling to get it to those players. So when the ball did get to the strikers, the opposing defence was set. You had your two banks of 4 or 4 and then a 5, and it was hard to break through. But now, with the fact that they're able to progress through the lines quickly and efficiently, that teams are now not organised, and you've got a lot of space for them to exploit. And that was perfectly on show on Tuesday when they beat Brighton.
Brighton, they were able to get a couple of victories after lockdown. This defeat won't hurt them, will it?
Nah, I think the Brighton are safe. It was just they came up against a really good United side.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I believe we've got a comment from a United fan, actually.
I'm coming to that. I'm there on it already, son. There already. Because I was going to ask you initially, what do you think that Manchester United need? What do they need to be title challengers right now?
The one thing that they probably need is in terms of their attacking outlet, when they do actually come up against organised sides who are able to match them for pace and power, and they've got a good midfield themselves, they're going to probably need a player who is able to recycle possession, be good one-on-one, and is very sort of from a wide position. And that player, as Mark here is alluded to, would be Sancho. Now, what I will say to his comment, for those who are watching, they can see up on the screen there where he's asking Yeah, if when they paid 80 million for Maguire, then surely 50 million for Sancho is not enough. Well, I would say that this is Man United clearly doing a negotiation. That's all it is. So don't be surprised if they actually do end up spending more than 50 million on him, and people are going to be like, oh, but you didn't say that you were going to spend more than that. It's all a negotiation tactic. That's what it is. It's basically saying to Dortmund, this is what we're valuing him at the moment.
Bearing in mind the climate as well, because there's not going to be a lot of money getting thrown around as such. You would have thought. Anyway, we look at Sane. He's going to Bayern Munich for 54 million.
Exactly. Sane is one of the world's best young players. So
exactly. And now the fact that Sancho is valued at 100 million by Dortmund,
and rightly so.
Manchester United will probably look at this and be like, hold on a minute. Sane's gone for 54 million. Where do you rank Sane in comparison to Sancho? So the negotiation will work there. I think they'll look at it and be like, hold on a minute. They've gone 54. We don't think it's anything more than 50. Dortmund don't have to sell. They're not in any need to sell. However, as soon as people start sniffing, Sancho will probably have his head turned a little bit and be like, right, I'm getting looked at. I want to go on the transfer list. Or we get his agent to start having conversations and having a bit of chit chat here and there. Next thing you know, there's a deal on the table for 65 million, which I still think is an absolute steal for someone of Sancho's quality.
Sancho, that would be because he certainly has potential. He certainly has potential of top 5 in the world player. Sancho, for me, he's that kind of ability.
He will continue to grow as a player. He could walk into any team right now. In my opinion, there is not a team in the top 5 leagues that he couldn't walk into any top 4 of those clubs. Not one.
No, he should be certainly considered, as I say, considered as that. I mean, he's already one of the best young players in the world. As I say, he's got the potential now to go on to be in top 5 in the world, and talked in that kind of elite terms. It's just a case of how much are Man United prepared to get him for. And as you say, this is all negotiation tactic at the end of the day.
Yeah, very true. Man United, they're looking good. They're unbeaten in 15 games.
I will say this: maybe their squad depth is potentially a little bit thin. Because as we saw when they played Norwich, they struggled against Norwich big time when they didn't have Pogba playing. They brought in Lingard, they brought in Mata, Dan James started.
There is a little bit of dead wood at Man United that they need to remove before they can really consider themselves as title challengers. But next year, I honestly believe it's going to be so tough to call. Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, Man City, all 4 of those are going to be challenging next year. And there could be a wild card in the shape of Wolves. Monday night's game, we'll talk about that very briefly because it didn't really have much substance in my opinion. And that was Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, they lost 1-0 to Burnley. Ben Mee's header, really nice header. Just put it in an area where it just couldn't be caught by Gaeta. But at the same time, it was just Palace are probably a more frustrating side than West Ham to watch, and they don't really have much depth and substance. Burnley, on the other hand, I put Burnley. Where's the R? Burnley. Oh, that's on that one as well. Oh God.
Inconsistency there from Crystal Palace, but Burnley have done
inconsistency there from Gav Mack as well. There, Christ. Let's remove that. There we are. Sorry, inconsistency from Palace, you say?
Yeah, inconsistencies from Palace. But again, with the style that Roy Hodgson gets them to play, when there's not a lot of goals involved in them, you make the games tight. So that is usually more riskier way to play because, as I say, there's one game when your strikers are not quite in form or you have an injury and the other team gets a goal, you're gonna struggle to win. And Burnley done what they've done all season. They've picked up results here and there with fairly regularly, should I say. And once they get a lead, they're one of the more tougher sides, unless they're playing a top 6 side or a bigger side, to break down, because Sean Dyche has them well coached, well drilled, organised. And once that happened, Burnley get their head. And from what I understand, apparently it was quite a bit. It was a deserved win as well for Burnley. It wasn't actually.
Oh yeah, it was. It's just hard to watch. It really was. Right. If you haven't seen already, you'll be able to follow all our social media links down the bottom there. At Top Football on everything. There's a couple of games that are happening this week. This week, I should say, today. If you're watching it live, and if you're not watching it live and you're watching it on Friday, then these games were yesterday, so we don't know the score. But you've got tonight Sheffield United versus Tottenham. Sheffield United haven't come out of lockdown in a very good way. We thought they were shooing for Europe, potentially even like trying to sneak a 5th place spot, but they're winless since the return. Tottenham, on the other hand, they've been able to pick up a couple of results, and important draw against Man United as well. How do you see this one going?
I'm going to say a squeaky 1-0 Tottenham win, I reckon.
I think it's going to be more comfortable. I think Spurs have played really well on the back of lockdown. I think the key for me is in the middle of the park. Going forwards, I think they missed Dembele in the middle of the park. They haven't really got like a defensive midfielder who's able to do the dirty work and let the Celso free. But a team like the way Sheffield United have come back, I do fear for them tonight, because I imagine Spurs will start with Kane from the middle, obviously. Then I'll have Bergwijn one side, Son the other side, Dele Alli maybe in behind, maybe a Lamella. I think that the quality is just, there's going to be too much for Sheffield United tonight, and I can see not a pasting, but it's going to be a comfortable Spurs win. I reckon maybe even 3-0. I can't see Spurs conceding against Sheffield United tonight. And the other game, we were, when the fixtures came out at the beginning of the season, we were looking at this as like a title decider. Obviously, Liverpool have gone on and won the league already, but I can't see Man City, falling down here, and I can't see Liverpool being nicey. I think that both teams are going to attack this with the same intent as if the title was still on the line.
Isn't there going to be a guard? Is there going to be a guard of honour for the game?
Yeah, there's going to be a guard of honour.
I mean, if that doesn't spark City players, I don't know what will. So, I don't know about this.
Both teams will score.
What kind of teams they're going to play?
That's what I mean. I think they're both going to go out really strong. That's what I mean. I think both teams are going to go out really strong.
If they're going to go out really strong, I just see a draw. I see a draw.
Yeah, Liverpool. I'll see a Liverpool win, and that's just because Aguero's missing. I don't think Jesus is decent enough. I think he's a top striker, but I don't feel like he's a top 2. Club top 2 striker. He's a top 6 striker. Like someone like him, I reckon would do well.
If he's suited to the Premier League. I think he could be one of those strikers where, say, he went to La Liga, he would kind of like Diego Forlan was, when he went to La Liga.
Just not suited for the Prem.
Fun, but when he was in the Premier League, he found it tough because of the pace and physicality. And people might be thinking, hang on, Gabriel Jesus has done all right for City, and he has done, but with the way
Iheanacho did well for City,
he's not scored enough.
No, I agree. That's that really. Oh, tonight, if you're watching this live, we have got our top 5s as usual every Thursday at 5 p.m. We will be talking about our top 5 lists on transfer flops in world football. So it's not just the Premier League, we're branching out into the world for today. And then next week on the 5 in midfield, it will be top 5 managers, because there's been and that will be in the Premier League, top 5 managers in the Premier League. That's already sparked a little bit of debate in our little WhatsApp group. So I think it'd be rather interesting to see how that gets panned out. But that's that really. As you see on the bottom of the screen, all our social media links. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, even Twitch, but we haven't used Twitch yet, but it's available on Twitch, at 2 at Top Football and the hashtag TUTF. But for myself and Alex, I think that is all. See you later on tonight. Cheers.